Angel Reese gets humiliated on live TV in her first game against the Chicago Sky in an Atlanta Dream uniform. Picture this. She gets dumped by the Chicago Sky, spent months hyping up her fresh start with the Atlanta Dream, then comes back for her first game against her old squad and shot 29%, while her ex-teammate swats her layup into another dimension. That's exactly what happened last night when the Atlanta Dream visited Chicago, and the internet completely lost it. Kamilla Cardoso's block on Reese went viral within minutes, and then Reese disappeared from the media area before tip-off like she knew what was coming. The Sky won the offseason. Reese won nothing. Reese said nobody wanted to play in Chicago? Turns out nobody wanted to play with Reese. How long do you think Reese will last until she gets fired? Let me know down in the comments below. Angel Reese spent months building up this Atlanta fresh start narrative, and April 29th in Chicago was the game everyone circled. Because if you want to prove your old team blew it by trading you, that's where you do it. In front of those fans, against that roster, on that court. That's the game you go off in. The build-up was loud. Reese had been talking about expanding her game, shooting threes, becoming more versatile, and Dream fans were already writing off the Sky's entire 2026 season before it started. Atlanta was going to be a contender. Chicago was going to regret the trade. That was the story going in.
Can't believe this is my life. Like I said earlier, the paint is wide open. Like, I can drive. I had a lot of success last year, ISOs. So just being able to come down until somebody stops me. I mean, everybody's on leash and on ride, staying with JC. So it opens up the floor, but also it makes the job easier for me where I don't have to always take the shot. Like, I can come and do inverted screens where they screen for me and they pop and I can kick it to them too. So just being able to have great players, I mean, it makes everybody's life easier.
Then the game actually started. Reese shot 29% from the field, and the internet did not process that quietly. Let's put that number in plain terms, because 29% doesn't mean she had an off night where the ball rattled out a few times. That's missing more than 2 out of every 3 shots she attempted. And when your entire game is built on physicality and finishing at the rim, when you don't shoot threes at any real rate and you're not running pick and rolls as a ball handler, 29% doesn't leave you anywhere to hide. There's no other part of the game carrying the load when the finishing breaks down.
Angel Reese, preseason basketball, we're back, baby. 3 ball, you want some? Come get some. Bang! I heard she got traded for a used jockstrap and a dirty diaper. New team, same layup package. Bang! How about the eyeballs? You know what they say? Free throws ain't free. How about it? Bang! They say second time's a charm. Bang! No, it's not. How about the third time? Bang! Fine. The 4th one will go in. Flick that wrist, spin that ball. Wiggity, wiggity, bang!
She only played around 13 minutes, and the Dream framed that as a rotation decision, load management, whatever label made it sound intentional. But 13 minutes and 29% from the field isn't a coach managing a player's workload carefully. That's a player who couldn't impose herself on the game and came off the floor. And here's the part that made the whole revenge narrative fall completely apart. The Sky sat out Skylar Diggins-Smith, Dejanai Carrington, and Azura Stevens. Chicago wasn't even dressed to compete at full strength, and Reese still couldn't get anything going against a depleted roster. Sky coach Tyler Marsh spent most of the game evaluating younger players and different lineups, because for Chicago, this was a developmental exercise, not a war. Reese treated it like a statement game, and came away with nothing to say.
Look, it's over when people are like, oh, she's not a 3rd or 4th option in this team. Yes, she is. Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray are the first 2 options in this team. Like, it is what it is. They are the first 2 options in this team, whether Angel Reese fans like it or not. And then when Bree Jones comes back, Bree Jones is the 3rd option.
Whatever Atlanta did do right that night came from Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray, who were the actual engines of the Dream's offense. Reese's contribution to the win landed somewhere between minimal and decorative, and Dream coach Carl Smesko claiming her impact was felt on nearly every possession. While she shot 2 of 7 is exactly the kind of coaching quote that sounds supportive and means nothing. The fans watching the tape clipped every missed attempt and stacked them on social media before the fourth quarter even started, with one post summing it up pretty directly. She hasn't worked on her game at all. One specific play, though, captured the whole night better than any stat line did. Picture being the player who left Chicago, coming back for your big revenge game, and getting your layup swatted clean by the center your old team built their future around, in front of the fans who used to cheer your name. That's not a bad night. That's a storyline.
We've got the Atlanta Dream against the Chicago Sky. Angel Reese against her former teammates that she held their heads underwater and drowned them publicly to the media. And by the way, she's now blaming the media for what she said about her teammates.
Kamilla Cardoso's block on Reese went viral within minutes. And it wasn't just a good defensive play, it was the kind of moment that writes its own caption. Cardoso is exactly the player Chicago chose to invest in instead of finding ways to keep Reese around. So when Cardoso swatted that layup into the third row, the crowd felt the whole 2-year story in about 1 second. People in the arena reacted immediately, and the clip spread across every WNBA corner of social media before the quarter finished. Fans online weren't subtle about it either, with one comment asking, "How does she have negative vertical?" and another pointing out that she can't jump and shoots from her hip. You'd think in all the years she's never fixed that. And that's the part that makes the Cardoso block sting so much more than a regular blocked shot. Because finishing at the rim isn't just one part of Reese's game. It's basically the whole game. She doesn't shoot threes at any real rate. She's not running pick and rolls as a ball handler. So when she can't convert around the basket, there's genuinely nothing else to fall back on. The backup plan doesn't exist. What made the night worse is that the Cardoso block wasn't even the only missed layup. Reese missed multiple attempts around the basket across her 13 minutes. And when you're already shooting 2 of 7 from the field, every one of those missed finishes becomes a screenshot somebody posts. Fans compiled low-light reels before the game was over, with one post putting it plainly, "She hasn't worked on her game at all." That's a rough thing to read after a game you were supposed to dominate.
Oh yeah, favorite possession right here. Jam! Nah, not ready, not ready. Hands a little slippery. Had too much popcorn with butter. Butter? Butter pecan!
How many times I gotta tell you, only 3 things in life are certain: death, taxes,
And Angel Reese smoking lamps, baby! Give me all that! Burn!
Reese's supporters tried to frame the missed layups as a product of aggressive defense or an unfamiliar scheme, but Dejanai Carrington and Azura Stevens both sat out, so Chicago wasn't even throwing its best defenders at her. The Sky ran out a depleted rotation and still couldn't get out of Reese's way fast enough to let her score. Dream fans kept redirecting to the final score, which, sure, Atlanta won, but Ryan Howard's fingerprints covered that win, not Reese's. Pointing at the scoreboard when you shot 29% is like taking credit for a group project you showed up late to. The Cardoso block became the image of the night because it said everything without needing any explanation. The player Chicago kept rejected the player Chicago traded away, literally, and the United Center crowd absolutely knew it.
And she has made comments about playing against Chicago and heading back to Chicago. Angel Reese claims there is no bad blood. Well, she's the ones that said the bad things. Ask the teammates, the former teammates, if there's any bad blood. Angel's the one that ran her mouth.
Before the game even tipped off, Reese was already making headlines for something she didn't do. She skipped the pre-game media availability, and given that she's publicly joked about getting fined for not talking to reporters, the timing of that skip was pretty hard to ignore. And look, Reese has been open about this. She admitted, "I'll take a fine. I'd rather take the fine sometimes rather than talking to the media because it always gets flipped." She's also said she finds media interactions terrifying because she believes even friendly questions get twisted around on her. Fine, that's her experience, and she's allowed to feel that way. But when you're walking into your first game against your old team, the one that traded you away, skipping the pre-game session doesn't read as unbothered. It reads as someone who already knows the night isn't going to go the way they planned.
Of course, she made these comments on a podcast with Michelle Obama. Big Mike himself. Oh, Lord. The two-time All-Star is determined to not repeat her past mistakes in Atlanta, even if it means fines from the league's office.
The pre-game availability would have been a perfect spot to just set a tone. Say something about how excited she was to compete, maybe even say something halfway decent about Chicago's rebuild. Instead, reporters found an empty chair where Reese was supposed to be, and the story wrote itself before the opening buzzer even sounded. You don't get to control the narrative by disappearing from it. You just hand the pen to everyone else. And this wasn't a one-off thing, because the media friction during Reese's 2 years in Chicago kept coming up over and over, with documented tension around locker room dynamics and public criticisms of teammates popping up repeatedly. The media avoidance fits right into that pattern. When things get uncomfortable, Reese removes herself from the conversation, and the conversation happens anyway, just without her version of events.
We can't rely on Courtney to come back at that age that she's at, Reese said. I know she'll be a great asset for us, but we can't rely on that. We need someone probably a little younger with some experience, somebody who's been playing the game and is willing to compete for a championship and has done it before. Courtney Vandersloot, by the way, 2-time WNBA champion, 5-time All-Star, 2-time All-WNBA first team, left the New York Liberty, a championship caliber team, to come help out the Chicago. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. It's all right, Courtney.
The WNBA has been pushing hard for better media access because the league's growth genuinely depends on players building personalities that casual fans can actually connect with. Caitlin Clark does the interviews, every single one, win or lose, good game or bad game, and that consistency is a big part of why the Fever's fan base keeps growing, while Reese's public image stays stuck in the same loop of controversy and deflection. Clark doesn't dodge the podium after a rough shooting night. She sits down, answers the questions, and moves on. After the game, with a 29% shooting night and a viral Cardoso block to explain, the post-game questions were always going to be pointed. Whatever Reese said or didn't say in that post-game session became part of the coverage regardless, because at that point the tape already told the story pretty clearly.
Reese's contributions are all about making Reese look better on the stat sheet, not making her teammates better. Having 2 first-round draft picks for the next 2 years, however, a franchise can go ahead and create a formidable starting squad if you play your cards right. But even more of a benefit is the fact that, according to some reports, Sky players are thrilled that Reese is gone, making it pretty obvious she was viewed as a locker room cancer.
Dodging reporters before a game you then shoot 29% in doesn't project confidence. It looks like someone who saw the rough night coming and didn't want to be on record before it happened, and the field goal numbers confirmed exactly that read. Let's talk about what the Chicago Sky did. The second Angel Reese was out the door, because the speed of that roster rebuild tells you everything about the 2 years that came before it. When Reese played in Chicago, the story around the franchise was that nobody wanted to be there. 2 seasons, no playoffs, and a record that actually got worse in year 2, not better. Multiple sources describe the locker room as tense and fractured, and free agents with real options weren't exactly lining up to sign with the Sky. The franchise looked stuck, and the narrative hardened around the idea that Chicago just wasn't a destination anymore. So the Sky traded Reese to Atlanta for 2 future first-round picks and a second-round swap. And then something interesting happened almost immediately. Skylar Diggins-Smith signed with Chicago. Dejonai Carrington signed with Chicago. Azura Stevens signed with Chicago. The Sky traded for Rickea Jackson, who earned All-Star recognition in her own right. Diggins-Smith is a former All-Star with years of playoff basketball on her resume, and Carrington is one of the best perimeter defenders in the entire league. That's not a rebuilding haul, that's a roster.
You know, the dynasty starts after you, not with you. Chicago Sky to Angel Reese. Woo-wee! I told you that AR disease ran deep. Nobody wanted to play with that. That is wild.
And people close to the organization weren't shy about why the vibe shifted so fast. One source put it plainly, saying, "Everyone is happy that they don't have to deal with her various controversies, and that Sky players were getting sick of her, and to make this trade was very much needed for the health of the organization moving forward." Another report described players as thrilled that Reese is gone. So when commentators started pointing out that the players Chicago targeted in free agency didn't want to come there as long as Angel was on the roster, it wasn't a hot take. It matched exactly what people inside the building were already saying. But that's not all, because the Sky also handed Reese's number 5 jersey to Rickea Jackson, and Reese's fanbase completely lost it online. There were actual campaigns demanding Chicago retire Reese's number, which is a wild thing to demand for a player who never sniffed the playoffs in 2 seasons with the franchise. Retiring a jersey is for players who brought championships, deep runs, something that actually mattered in the win column. Reese brought 2 missed postseasons and a trade that netted draft picks, so Chicago giving that number to Jackson wasn't a slight. It was just the organization moving on and not pretending otherwise.
They traded away Angel Reese and then said, we're going in. We're going in. Right here, right now. Had to get her off the team to get these players to come here.
The roster around Kamilla Cardoso now looks faster, more experienced, and a lot less combustible than anything the Sky put together during the Reese years. Diggins Smith runs a real offense. Carrington locks up perimeter players. Jackson and Cardoso give them 2 legitimate post threats who can actually finish when it counts. Chicago didn't just replace Reese, they replaced the entire atmosphere she left behind. While Reese was cycling through her second franchise in 2 years, and Chicago was busy cleaning house, Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever were just doing what they've done since Clark showed up, which is win, keep improving, and turn Indiana into a place players actually want to sign with. Clark and Reese entered the league at the exact same time, so the 2-year comparison is completely fair. No excuses about one player having more time to develop or a better supporting cast from day one. Same draft class, same 2 years, same window to build something. In that window, Clark's Fever kept climbing, made the playoffs for the first time in a decade, kept selling out arenas, and kept attracting players who had other options. Reese's Chicago teams missed the playoffs twice, and the record got worse in year 2, not better.
The last time they went to the finals was 2015. Okay, you guys made the semis of the East last season. You had to watch from the sidelines.
Yeah, it was tough.
Expectations, goals of this season, what you got for me?
I mean, we were trying to win it all last year, and that's certainly what we're trying to do this year. You know, it's a very unique situation. I think there's over 100 players in the league that are free agents. So we really only know about 5 people or 3 people that are going to be on our team next year, but I feel like we have a great core. You know,
Lexi Hull, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham, that core didn't fall together by accident. Those players picked and stuck with Indiana because the environment worked, the basketball worked, and Clark runs an offense that makes everyone around her more useful in ways that actually show up in the win column. Boston gets better looks because of Clark's gravity. Mitchell attacks off screens that Clark's shooting creates. Hull defends knowing the offense doesn't fall apart when she's focused on stopping her assignment. It's a real team, built around a player who wants to win more than she wants credit for winning. Indiana became a legitimate free agent destination while Reese was still in Chicago, and players weren't choosing the Fever because of jersey sales or Clark's social media numbers. They chose Indiana because the basketball product was worth joining, because the locker room didn't generate drama every 2 weeks, and because Clark holds herself accountable publicly in a way that sets a tone for everyone else on the roster.
I see a lot of players wanting to go, in this offseason, a lot of players are going to want to go to the Fever. But they're going to have a pick of a lot of free agents that are going to be like, I want to play here.
That accountability piece connects directly to the media contrast. Clark sits down after bad games, answers pointed questions, and doesn't treat the press like an adversary she needs to outmaneuver. After a tough loss or an off shooting night, she's still at the podium, still engaging, still building the kind of consistent presence that casual fans can follow and eventually care about. Reese skips pre-game availability, jokes about taking fines, and frames every uncomfortable media moment as an attack on her character. One of those approaches grows a franchise's audience year over year. The other one keeps the story about the player instead of the team. Two players, same draft class, same 2 years. Clark's Fever won more, grew more, and attracted more talent with each passing month. Reese's team lost more, fractured more, and eventually traded her for draft picks. Atlanta now gets to find out whether a change of scenery fixes what 2 years in Chicago couldn't, while Indiana heads into 2026 with a roster that's deeper, more experienced, and pointed directly at a playoff run that nobody around that franchise is treating as a long shot.
We're looking forward to watching it for sure. You guys saw that May 9th against the Dallas Wings. That'll be the first time you see Caitlin back in her Indiana Fever jersey, but they're getting ready for training camp. That starts April 19th for her. But guess what? She's not really going to go anywhere. Caitlin's going to hang around a little bit.
Angel Reese shot 29%, got her layup swatted by Kamilla Cardoso, skipped the reporters, and watched Chicago hand her number to Rickea Jackson, while 4 quality players signed with her old team in a single offseason. That's not a bad night. That's 2 years of the same story wrapping up exactly the way it was always going to. How long do you think Reese will last until she gets fired? Let me know down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.